In the seventh episode of Lovely Runner, we begin by going back to the day of the accident prior to Imsol's time travel adventure. On that specific evening, Imsol dozed off on the bus and missed her stop. Sanjay was unsure about waking her, but In Hyuk suggested he wake her and accompany her home so Sanjay could have a chance to spend time with his crush. Regrettably, Imsul found himself waking up at the next stop and disembarked from the bus, leaving Sanjay behind to gather the items that had spilled out of his bag. By the time Sanjay noticed Imsul's departure, the bus had already resumed its journey. As rain began to pour, Imsul contemplated the idea of hailing a taxi. She noticed the cab driver had a rope and something suspicious in his car, so she quickly made up an excuse about her mom coming to pick her up. Unfortunately, the driver wasn't convinced and ended up drugging and kidnapping her. Meanwhile, Sanjay, unaware of what had happened, used his bag to shield himself from the rain as he hurried to the bus stop where he thought Imsal was waiting. He didn't spot her there and assumed she had already taken a cab. In the meantime, Imsal woke up and seized the opportunity to escape when the driver went into his house. She discovered a razor inside the car and used it to set herself free. Imsal swiftly sprinted away with the driver trailing closely behind in his vehicle. As she approached the reservoir, she spotted Sanjay rushing towards her. The driver accelerated and struck Imsal, causing her to plunge into the water. As anticipated, Sanjay bravely dove in to rescue her, but the driver turned back and attacked him. A fierce brawl ensued, and Sanjay managed to restrain the driver until the police arrived. Right now, Sanjay discovers Imsol's yellow umbrella on the road and senses that something is amiss. He hurries to her home and Imgum informs him that she is missing. Imgum mentions that Imsol was behaving strangely and didn't want to leave the house that day. Sanjay remembers the day he rescued Imsol at the reservoir, where she started to recall more about her past. Imgum mentioned that his sister has never been in an accident. Sanjay recalls Imsal often sharing about having intense dreams, like one where he got hurt while swimming. He rushes to the reservoir, only to find she's not there. When he tries to inform the police, they brush him off, thinking he's just like Imsal paranoid. Imsal had been adamant about being in danger on a certain date. After hearing this, Sanjay heads back to the reservoir. This time, Imsol manages to escape from the car with the help of her memory and remembers to grab the car keys. Unfortunately, the cab driver chases after her in his truck. As Imsol is running and about to fall, Sanjay notices her and calls out to her just in time to prevent her from getting hit. At that moment, Imsol was on the verge of giving up and accepting her fate. Luckily, another car pulls up in front of her, causing the perpetrator to change his mind and drive away. As Imsol faints, she notices a glitch in the watch on her hand and the number switches from 2 to 1. However, she fails to recognize Sanjay before losing consciousness. Imsol finds herself transported to the Joseon era, or so she thinks. However, it turns out that she is actually just filming a scene for a kdrama. In this alternate reality, she is now working for the very film company that had previously rejected her. Meanwhile, Sanjay is thriving as a popular star. Imsol's company has been persistently trying to convince him to headline their series. Eventually, she returns to the present day on the exact day she and Sanjay had planned to open a time capsule together. Unfortunately, she arrives late and misses Sanjay, who ends up discovering the time capsule and taking it home. However, Imsal expresses her gratitude that Sanjay is safe and believes that her strategy was successful. She proceeds to go to his residence and observes his house from a distance. Simultaneously, a person with ill intentions, wearing a white fur coat identical to Imsol's, attempts to enter Sanjay's apartment. The individual quickly flees, with security personnel pursuing them. In the midst of the chaos, the stranger collides with Imsol and accidentally drops her poster. Unfortunately, the security guards mistakenly identify Imsol as the stalker and escort her to the police station. At the police station, Imsol finds herself desperately trying to convince everyone of her innocence, but unfortunately, her words fall on deaf ears. The situation takes an even more dramatic turn when the police reveal that Sanjay has decided not to press charges. Despite her pleas, the police released her with a stern warning, and she makes her way back home. However, in this altered reality, Imsal is no longer a devoted Eclipse fan and her room is devoid of any merchandise. Additionally, she no longer possesses the time-traveling watch. To add to her distress, Imsol is plagued by nightmares of something terrible happening to Sanjay. On a positive note, she does have the comfort of owning a car. The only constant in this new reality is her grandmother's ongoing illness. The following day, Imsol eagerly gets ready for work. Unfortunately, her boss isn't too pleased with her. She's aware of the mix-up with the stalker and assumes Sanjay declined their offer due to the misunderstanding. Imsol is given an opportunity to meet Sanjay and resolve the confusion. Sanjay and his team suspect that the stalker infiltrated the film industry to pursue her idols. Little do they know, Imsol is the mistaken stalker. During their encounter, Imsol receives a call from Hyunwoo urgently needing her as she is about to give birth. In a rush, Imsol accidentally shoves Sanjay into a fountain. Without seeing each other's faces, she quickly hands her contact card to his manager and departs. The manager recognizes her as the stalker, prompting Sanjay to ask for compensation for his ruined clothes. When Imsal arrives at the hospital, she is taken aback to discover that Hyun-woo is expecting her second child with Im-gum. This is the third positive aspect in this situation. Afterwards, Imsal receives a message from Sunjai's manager informing her about the price of the clothes. She is astonished by the amount and replies asking for evidence. Sanjay notices the message and replies. At first, he had decided to let go of the matter until Imsol cleverly hinted that he could be a fraudster. Fueled by anger, he captures a snapshot of his attire. Just as he is about to send it, his manager intervenes. Imsol interprets his silence as a triumph, but Sanjay requests his manager to take legal action against her. When things start to get out of hand, Imsol's boss tells her to step back from the project. In addition, the police reach out to her and request her to sign a restraining order. It is at the police station where she finds out that Sanjay's end-of-year concert has been rescheduled and will take place on the same day. She embarks on a mission to make things right and attempts to gain entry to the concert. After her initial attempt fails, she contacts Sanjay's manager and requests the opportunity to apologize in person. Sanjay instructs the manager to meet with Imsol and inform her about the impending legal action. In return, Imsol presents the manager with the bouquet and insists that he relay her name to Sanjay. By the time the manager returns, Sanjay is already prepared. The manager leaves the flowers and contact card in Sanjay's dressing room. Meanwhile, Imsol waits outside and becomes emotional upon hearing Sanjay's heartfelt singing. She worries about the past repeating itself and heads to the bridge where Sanjay once found her and offered his help. She's torn because she doesn't want him to appear, yet she longs to see him. Just as she's about to lose hope, Sanjay arrives. He's happy to see her after so long. Unfortunately, the manager insists he leave since they're running late for the after party. Feeling desperate, Imsol requests Sanjay to stay with her. Lovely Runner Episode 8 transports us back to a few months prior to January 1st, 2023. Sanjay, feeling restless, couldn't wait any longer and decided to dig up the time capsule 6 months ahead of schedule. As the story progresses, Sanjay discovers a heartfelt letter from Imsol inside the time capsule, expressing her gratitude towards him. To top it off, she even gifted him a watch. As we are aware, Imsol ended up being delayed, causing them to miss each other. We go back to the night of the concert. After Sanjay realizes that Imsol is the person who left him flowers and is believed to be his stalker, he hurriedly goes to meet her. This time, they encounter each other at the bridge and Imsol invites him to spend the night together. It's no surprise that Sanjay requested his manager to let his group members know he won't make it to the after party. He hops into Imsol's car and they head to a hotel. During the ride, Imsol asks how he's been and he replies that he's been good. She's happy to see that he's alive and doing well. They make their way to a hotel and Imsol mistakenly assumes Sanjay is interested in a romantic evening with her. She feels a bit awkward when she discovers he is actually leading her to the hotel's lounge bar, where they can have a private conversation. In the lounge bar, They both act as if they didn't attempt to locate the time capsule. They both claim to be doing fine, and Imsal is quietly thankful that Sanjay is safe. In another place, In-hyuk shares a photo of the group at the after party, with Sanjay conspicuously absent. There have been some online rumors suggesting that he skipped the party to accompany a woman to a hotel. In-hyuk reaches out to Sunjay to alert him about the paparazzi's presence at the hotel. Sanjay requests Imsol to wait for him to leave and assures her that he will call her later. But Imsol has a mission to spend the night with Sanjay and rescue him from certain death. She quickly grabs an umbrella and shields their faces as they make their escape. Sanjay's manager is once again taken aback by their bold actions. He joins the after party and engages in a conversation with In Hyuk regarding Sanjay. The manager suspects that Sanjay might have brought Imsol to his house for the night. Im Hyuk remembers leaving a risque figure of a female anime character at Sanjay's place. He is displeased to learn that Sanjay is with Imsol. Returning to the couple, Imsol mentions she needs to use the restroom, prompting Sanjay to offer her to come over to his place. He is surprised to find the stool in Hyuk left behind, and he promptly conceals it under a blanket on his bed. In the meantime, Imsol is in the bathroom when she receives a call from her mother. The pipes in their house are broken, so they're heading over to Imgyum's place. She invites Imsol to join them there, but Imsol declines, mentioning that she's spending the night with the man. Sanjay overhears their conversation, and he becomes both anxious and thrilled at the same time. In order to stall for time, Imsol requests a tour of the house and expresses admiration for every aspect of it. She even inquires about the medicine displayed on the kitchen counter, to which he clarifies that they are supplements. Afterwards, she mentions her hunger and expresses a desire for some ramyeon. Given the context, it's understandable that Sanjay misinterprets her intentions. He prepares ramyeon and eggs for her. Imsol acts like she's falling asleep after the meal. Sanjay decides to ask her about the phone call with her mom. Imsol confesses that she had a dream of Sanjay dying that night. Sanjay is not surprised, knowing Imsal often has vivid dreams. He reassures her that he is okay and has no intention of harming himself. At the same time, there is a man standing outside Imsol's apartment. To everyone's surprise, it's actually Tae-sung. After Imsol confesses, Sanjay firmly denies being depressed. He assures her that those rumors in the media are unfounded and questions why she is worried about him after all this time. Imsol agrees to leave once she finishes cleaning the dishes. However, things take a turn when he accidentally spills soup on her blouse while trying to hold her hand and convince her to stay. Feeling guilty, he takes her to his room and offers her a shirt to change into. Suddenly, he remembers that he left the time capsule egg on his table and hastily asks her to leave the room once she's done changing. He attempts to conceal the capsule and accidentally drapes the blanket over his bed. Imsol comes back for her clothes and notices the object on his bed. Sanjay feels embarrassed and attempts to clarify while recovering it. Meanwhile, Imsol is curious and she snatches the blanket to take a closer look. Sanjay and Imsol engage in a fierce tug of war, resulting in Imsol tumbling onto his bed with Sanjay on top of her. They both freeze in this unexpected position, just as Sanjay is about to lean in for a kiss. However, their moment is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of a drunken In Hyuk. Sanjay makes a quick decision and hides Imsol in his closet. He then convinces In Hyuk that he's just seeing things due to being drunk. In Hyuk, determined to take a bath, removes his shirt in Sanjay's bathroom. However, he returns promptly after spotting an old photo of Sanjay and Imsol. In a heart-to-heart conversation, In Hyuk expresses his feelings about how Imsol hurt him. Every time Sanjay got intoxicated, he would find himself back at Imsol's former residence, pouring his heart out for her. He would even visit the time capsule spot and call out her name. Sanjay felt mortified when he realized that Imsol had overheard all of this. In his embarrassment, he picked up In Hyuk and tossed him into the bathtub. He comes back to see Imsol gazing at the time capsule. In a flashback, we discovered that Imsol had requested Sanjay to keep his distance after the kidnapping incident. She mentioned that his presence brought back painful memories. Now Sanjay drives Imsol back home and reveals that he found the time capsule. Upon arriving at Imsol's house, She expresses her gratitude and admits that she had feelings for him and missed him. She apologizes for causing him pain and quickly goes inside to avoid being seen by anyone. It only takes a moment for Sanjay to process Imsol's words. As soon as he understands that she has revealed her feelings, he chases after her. Just as she is about to close her door, he stops her and inquires about her emotions. Imsol confirms with a nod, but before she can elaborate, a neighbor interrupts by opening their door. Without hesitation, she pulls Sanjay inside. After shutting the door, Sanjay leans in to kiss her, but she hesitates briefly before giving in, and they share a passionate kiss. Their moment is cut short when the mechanics arrive to repair the pipes. Imsol quickly covers Sanjay's face and dismisses him as her brother. As Sanjay leaves, he fails to notice the cab driver. The joy of the kiss fills their hearts with happiness, making them smile all day long. Sadly, Imsol's happiness is abruptly shattered when her mom calls and requests her to speak with Hyunju. It turns out that Imgeum lost all their savings by investing in a friend's business venture. Hyunju's anger reaches its peak as she decides to kick Imgeum out of the house and even threatens to divorce him. However, after a heartfelt conversation with Imsol, Hyunju confesses that although she is furious, she cannot bring herself to leave Imgeum. She firmly believes that even if given the opportunity to alter her destiny, she would still choose the same life, as the unpredictability of life is known to no one. Afterwards, she receives a phone call from Sunjae, questioning why she gifted him the watch. Imsal clarifies that she simply wanted time to continue moving forward for him. Sanjay playfully responds, mentioning that time is already flowing now that she's back in his life. They decide to meet up later in the evening. Throughout the day, they continuously miss each other's calls. When Imsol finishes work, she realizes she left her car at Sanjay's house. She tries calling Sanjay, but he doesn't answer because he's in the shower. Imsol decides to go get her car and spots a man who resembles a taxi driver. It happens to be another person, and Imsol steps out of the car. He tries to call her again, but this time Imsol doesn't answer as she runs after her pursuer. She successfully apprehends the stalker and is taken aback to discover that the girl is merely 14 years old. Imsol brings the girl to a nearby restaurant and attempts to have a conversation with her about the repercussions of her behavior. At the same time, Sanjay gets a phone call from a dear friend who inquires about his room number. Just as he answers the call, there's a knock on his door, leaving Sanjay puzzled as to why his friend is asking for the room number when he hasn't arrived yet. On the other end of the line, the friend sounds confused and clarifies that he hasn't reached there yet. We return to Imsal, who is still at the restaurant with the stalker. She receives a jolt of shock upon hearing the breaking news that Sanjay was assaulted by the cab driver who was recently released from prison. The reporter reveals that Sanjay is currently battling for his life on the operating table. Imsol is overwhelmed with disbelief and collapses to her knees, questioning the circumstances and reasons behind these unfortunate events.